Hello, welcome back and welcome in. My name is Nikki Wheeler. If you're interested in gaming, go subscribe to my other channel and follow my Twitch to see my gaming live. Now, let's get started with the video. Today, I'll be discussing Alec Benjamin. He's the man behind such hits as Let Me Down Slowly and Water Fountain, both narrative acoustic pop records that have changed the music industry, allowing more artists to follow in his footsteps. Starting off in 2013, Alex had released with an independent company, White Rope. Then, the following year, he got signed to Columbia Records, one of the biggest companies ever, notable for signing stars like Harry Styles, Lil Nas X, Adele, Beyonce, and more. While this record deal didn't work out, he worked with the company up until about 2016, which was when his debut album was supposed to come out. He had songs such as Paper Crown already out, but with the contract under Columbia, he couldn't re-release any of this music as it wasn't his own, but the records. Later in 2018, he had got signed onto Atlantic Records to produce his now record-breaking debut mixtape, Narrated for You. And since this is technically a mixtape, it has no real certifications like platinum or gold, but of the singles on this mixtape, Let Me Down Slowly is a 3-time platinum track. This tape is on the more alternative pop side, being of the acoustic guitar Alec uses, while also using narrative lyricism to tell a story in each and every song. Next, you move into his actual debut album, These Two Windows, released in May of 2020. It only consisted of 10 tracks plus one more in the Japanese version. While this album was short in length, it wasn't short of any description. With a vivid story and telling lyrics, Alex made a world of his own in his writing. This album is mainly singles, as 7 of the 10 tracks are, so we will only be talking about a few. The first single, released June 13th of 2019, Must Have Been the Wind, was a tearjerker from the beginning, talking about a girl crying in her apartment and overhearing, confronting the issue at hand and deciding to talk to this girl. While she denies any request for help, he lets her know that he is still will be there at the end of the day. It isn't the most complicated single he has released, but it does compel me to listen more and also inspires me to be more empathetic. Next, we have Demons, which was released January 17th of 2020. This song is about that friend or person in your life that will stick by your side no matter what, no questions asked. Again, not a very complicated song, but it does make you think of yourself and if you are that friend or if you have that friend in your life. It makes for a good point of having social relationships in person or online. This album did come out after the pandemic had started, so it was a good starting point for a positive outlook and seeing the brighter side of things. We all have our demons and we don't all have that friend, but you can be that friend. The next single I wanted to talk about was Match in the Rain, as it is a little more complicated than the last two, but still simple enough to get the message across quite easily. Alec uses the phrase, like trying to light a match in the rain, to emphasize the point of a dying friendship or a dying relationship that is completely impossible to save. In the verses of this song, he slows down to more of a talking-like voice, as if he is talking to a person telling them this, all happening, which I do find incredibly satisfying while saddening at the same time. It's like a real-life conversation happening right in front of you that you can't pause. The album did do good, but only peaked at number 75 on the US Billboard 200 and 52 on the UK albums. Now that moves us into the next album, Uncommentary, the second studio album released by Alec Benjamin and under a new label, Elektra, who is known for signing 21 Pilots, Motionless in White, Fall Out Boy, and many more. Alec had signed to this label in 2021 after the release of These Two Windows. The first single off this record was The Way You Felt, a song about changing feelings in a relationship and eventually breaking it off for the better. Alec had stated in this song, "I can take rejection, but you gave me the impression that this was the inception of something real." Rejection is definitely just a natural part of life, being in a romantic way or a platonic way. But being played or used is just completely morally wrong and never feels amazing to deal with. It hurts more knowing they never felt the same or changed the way they feel. The next single was Older, and this personally tugged a little really hard at my heartstrings. A song simply about getting older, not wanting to grow up, but having to face reality eventually. One of my favorite parts of this track and a couple other songs of Alec is the pace. When he speeds up, it makes me so happy for some reason. So this song in particular hit me in the heart and the brain with the amount of dopamine that it gave just off of that pure fact alone. And I'm putting all my things inside a box next to a toaster. That's my closest thing to closure. I can't stop this roller coaster. I'm not ready to get older. I'm not ready to get older. The final single from this album was Shadow of Mine. Again, if listened to, this song is quite easy to interpret, not being able to escape your problems or your reputation. Everywhere I go, my shadow, it follows behind. Doesn't matter where I travel, my shadow, it finds me. While surprisingly, these singles didn't do the most extraordinary, the song Devil Doesn't Bargain went over extremely well on TikTok and was made into a trend on the app. Alec had wrote the song about the music industry, but can obviously be interpreted differently, and most people had assumed that it was about an abusive relationship, as the lyric, "He's never gonna change," does kind of hint at that fact. Alec Benjamin has been a personal favorite of mine for years now, and has been my #1 artist for just as long. I can confidently say that his music is the most gut-wrenchingly sad, but the most pleasant music you'll probably ever hear in the music industry. The higher pitch of his voice matches the airiness of the acoustic guitars and some bass moments, to blend together to make something so beautiful, artful, and charming. I might also add that I don't think I have ever heard a person in the industry hum and ad-lib in songs as beautifully as Alec does in his music. Now, I'm gonna go and move into my favorite part of the video, the rankings. And this is a best to worst scale, and if you know me, you know I will never consider any Alec Benjamin song bad, because I do love every single second of these albums. So, no harm, no foul. And I also have to mention, I am including Narrated for You in this ranking because it is a full-length piece, it is 12 songs, and I do consider it an album. So, at #1, I'm going to put These Two Windows. At #2, Uncommentary, and finally, at #3, Narrated for You. My favorite from each of these albums are Annabelle's Homework from Narrated for You, Alamo from These Two Windows, and it is a tie between Nancy Got a Haircut and Dinero on Uncommentary. I have done this in the past, and I will be recommending some artists today if you do enjoy Alec Benjamin. These artists either have the same vibe, or I came across them because of Alec. So first off, we have Anson Seabra, another melancholic singer. He is most notable for Dominoes and Somewhere in Ann Arbor, both incredibly good songs and tell a wonderful story. Next, we have John Carroll. He is on the newer side of artist, as he only has 18 songs in total, going back to about 2020. He's also very melancholic and not much of a storyteller, but is still wonderful nonetheless. And the final person I recommend is Munn. He is known to work with Delaney Leclerc, and I love both of their voices together, harmonizing well in some songs and also acting as a duet in other songs, like I'm Fucked I Know, one of my favorites from that duo. And on that note, I think I'm going to end the video here. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And until next time, bye guys.